radio connection to the Almighty. Nope, ours is the doubter's road. It's a winding, weird back road that never seems to get anywhere fast. This road is poorly lit, cratered with potholes, and far from flat. Every once in a while it steers up into the mountains where the air is fresh and the views are spectacular. But mostly it unwinds its graveled way through valleys, across deserts, and past sketchy small towns. The soundtrack of God's voice crackles on the AM band through speakers that have seen better days. It's far from boring, of course, and eventually we may even reach the same destination as those on the Faith Superhighway. There's a lot to be gained by taking the road less traveled, but this is one scenic route that rarely gets recommended. You know what it's like. You've doubted in the past. Maybe you're racked with uncertainty right now. Or maybe you're preparing for the future. You realize that your faith, while active and vigorous today, is nevertheless fragile. At this point, things are moving along nicely, but you can't guarantee they'll stay that way. If something terrible happens, will your faith survive? Will you cling to Jesus when your headlights barely brighten the road ahead and all you hear is static? I've had the opportunity to speak about my journey of doubt at colleges and churches and in small groups, and I'm always surprised at the number of people for whom the topic is deeply resonant. Thank you for being honest about this stuff, people say. They're usually whispering, and they lean in like they're about to tell me a secret. Actually, I feel the same way you do, almost all the time. It's good to know I'm not alone. Although the number of open skeptics in our culture is growing, doubt is verboten among most Christians. Nearly all of us struggle with doubt, but few of us are willing to own it, even though its indigo thread is woven throughout the biblical narrative. Abraham dealt with God's absence. Sarah laughed at God's slowness to fulfill his promises. Job struggled to understand God's action. David expressed his doubt in poetry. "How long, O Lord?" he asks in Psalm 13. "Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" And that's just the Old Testament. In the New Testament, John the Baptist doubts whether Jesus really is the Messiah. Peter's uncertainty causes him to sink beneath the waves. Nicodemus is clueless about what Jesus teaches him, and Thomas won't believe what he can't touch with his own hands. If we're honest, we identify with these biblical characters. Sometimes God seems pretty distant. So why do we pretend otherwise? My tendency is to act as if God's apparent vanishing act is something I should be ashamed of. It's a weakness to overcome, I tell myself, a sin to avoid. So we wrestle, like Jacob, in the middle of nowhere, isolated. But I'm not alone, and neither are you. That's comforting. In a church culture where we clean ourselves up on Sunday mornings and go to church decked out in smiles and wrinkle-free clothes, it's good to remember that life is messy. Some of us smell bad, and we're wearing the same jeans we spilled coffee on yesterday. Our prayers are not particularly powerful and effective, like it says in James 5. Our lives don't seem victorious. Our struggles are hard, and sometimes we're barely holding it together. Is this faith thing even worth it? Those of us on the doubter's road are constantly good at one thing, asking questions. Whether we ever find the answers or not, the questions are always there. And not just questions about whether or not God exists. Have you ever asked any of these questions? What if religion and our longing for God is just the way our brains are wired? Could spirituality just be the product of chemistry or electrical impulses? What if the atheists are right, and faith is just a crutch we've developed to give life meaning and mitigate the specter of death? Is there any real difference between the ancient religious stories of Judeo-Christianity and the folklore of, say, Norse or Greek mythology? Or even the flying spaghetti monster? Are the New Testament stories about Jesus trustworthy? How do we know it's not some big Da Vinci Code hoax or cover-up by a power-hungry church? If the Bible is supposed to be completely inspired by God, why does it seem to have mistakes and factual contradictions in it? And why do the typical Christian explanations of these contradictions always seem so lame? Stories like God instructing Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac, or the destruction of the Canaanites, or the whole book of Job, seem so brutal and heartless. Am I really supposed to love and serve a deity who, frankly, comes across that unattractive? Do I have to believe in demons and angels and all that weird spiritual warfare stuff in order to be a Christian? Do I have to completely disregard scientific ideas like the theory of evolution?